Hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can able to.
Fine. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Vidya Shekhar. I'm working as a test manager at MNC, and overall, I have around 14 years of experience in IT. And throughout my career, I was in QA. Been working on different tools. Started with UFT and then shifted to Selenium. And currently, for the last 4 years, I'm working on Tosca. So I provide trainings I corporate and also to the institutes, and I take it as a hobby. And generally, I provide trainings in the morning sessions. And this is an introduction class. I would like to, by listening to this class, you will get some idea what is Tosca, why it is becoming popular in the market, what is the demand for Tosca, and what is the best way to learn Tosca in a shorter period of time. This is the main agenda of this particular class. So can we start? Yes, no?
Yes,
Yeah, hope
yes, sure.
everybody can hope everybody can see my screen. So before you start learning about Tosca, right? I would like to give you some introduction about this tool. So this tool is developed by an organization called as Tricentis. Okay, and there are many versions which are available. Let me open the this website. Okay, so if you look at this, this is the official website of the company, which is called as Tricentis, and they have multiple products. Okay, if you click on products, right, they are into test automation, where they are providing functional test tools like Tricentis Tosca is one of their tool. Along with that, they also support other test automation tools like performance testing. They have an option called as NeoLoad, and they have one more tool called as Qtest, which is similar to Jira or ALM. ALM, like many people are familiar with Jira, I hope so. And there is one more tool called as data validation, where you can validate your business intelligence reports. So among these products, right, we are going to work, or we are going to learn a product called as Presentist Tosca. This is the product which we are going to learn. And coming to the versions, right now the latest version is 15.2. Okay, and in the market, like in the industry, right, in the industry, the people are working on 14.0. 14, most of the organizations are using 14.2 version, but the latest version which is available in the market is 15.2. Okay, and this is about the tool. So before going to learn about the tool, right, so I would like to give you some high level output, like why should we learn this tool? Okay, and what do you mean by automation? I hope everybody knows what is automation testing and what is testing, right? Yes or no? Is anyone
Yes, yes,
new to testing? Is anyone in the session who's taking the session is new to testing? Are you listening testing for the first time? Okay, fine. I'm expecting that everybody is familiar with this. So, like whenever you're working on a tool, right? Like for example, if you look at the software application lifecycle model, basically, if you're working in Agile Scrum methodology, you'll be working in sprints. Generally, the duration of the sprint would be around 2 to 3 weeks of time. Okay, and how is generally the process here? How they are going to deliver a shippable product to the client or the customer is the BA is going to prepare a requirements document or a user story, and once the user story is clear, right, and it will be assigned to the both development team as well as the testing team, and the team will start writing the code, and the testing team will start writing the test cases. And once it is deployed, we are going to execute our test cases, and if there are any defects, we log the defects, and finally we are going to provide a release notes and release the project. So when it comes to testing, right, testing can be classified into two types. One is manual testing and another one is automation testing. So what do you mean by manual testing? Means a tester, a human being will be sitting in front of the computer, and he'll be executing the test cases. He'll be performing some actions on the application. The application can be a Windows-based application or a web-based application or a mobile-based application. Okay, So why should we go for automation testing means because of the complexity, not only about the complexity, and it's about right now when you are releasing an application in the market, right? This application can be accessed by users across multiple platforms and multiple environments. Like the application can be accessed on mobile, it can be accessed on tab, it can be accessed on a laptop, and also on different operating systems like Windows, Linux, and Mac operating system, and different browsers if it is a web-based application. Okay, so it is practically impossible to achieve speed and quality with manual testing. So this is the reason why we have to go for automation test. Okay, and what actually automation testing, what you are doing is you are comparing the actual result with the expected result, whether it is manual or whether it is automation. You are executing your test cases, and you are comparing the actual results with the expected results without any manual intervention. Means as a person will not be sitting in front of the system. The tool will be comparing the actual values with the expected values, and it is going to report whether the test case has been passed or failed. Fine. Now, as I told you, why should we go for automation? It is a manual testing is error prone. Like basically, you should have the complete functional knowledge. If you're testing manually, if you are not having any functional knowledge, right, then you may not be in a position to identify the defects. Okay, and in automation, you will not have any human intervention. Okay, it is everything taken care by the tool itself. One more advantage is the execution is much faster. When a machine is executing a script, execution is much faster than a human being running the script. Okay, and accuracy, you always get a consistent results irrespective of the time zone you are executing and irrespective of the day on which you are running the scripts. Okay, and parallel execution is also possible with automation. And by automating the test cases, you are providing faster feedback to the developers, and developers can quickly fix the errors, and we can release to the client without any defects. So these are the advantages of automation. Okay, fine. Now when it comes to automation, right, it is not advisable to automate each and every test case or each and every user story. What we have to do is we have to automate only business critical test cases. Can anybody tell me what do you mean by business critical test case? Any idea? High risk or business critical test case? Because this is the first question. Once you go to the interview, right, they'll ask you what is the criteria for selecting an automation test case. Okay.
So business automated test, I mean business critical test cases are those test cases which are which cases which are run by the customer very frequently or business very frequently.
Which are run by the customer very frequently. Okay. What else can be? Okay, fine. So basically, when I'm saying critical test cases or business critical test cases, right? I'll give you one scenario. Wherever financial transactions is involved, For example, whenever you are working on an application, right, the scenarios can be classified into two types. One is financial transaction and other one is non-financial transaction. Okay, so can you tell me the example of a financial transaction is? Like, for example, fund transfer. Okay, whenever you're transferring money from one person to another person, right, then it is called as a fund transfer is a financial transaction. And address change is a non-financial transaction. Okay, so whenever you are trying to automate, you need to focus on transactions which are having some financial benefits involved in. For example, whenever there is a amount or money which is involved in transaction, right, that has to be automated. Why? Because it will have an impact on the business. Okay, whenever there is a money involved, there is a direct impact on the business to the client. So generally there are two parameters which we consider for automation. One is called as the frequency. Okay, as you are telling, like the number of times you are going to execute a particular test case. Other one is called as a damage. There are two classes. One is called as the frequency, and the other one is damage. Frequency means the number of times you are going to execute that particular test case. Damage means how much impact it will have if that particular test case fails. So these are the two factors which we need to consider while automating a particular scenario. Okay. Fine.
Shekhar, I have question on that business critical case, a test case that you have shown. Suppose my application doesn't include any financial transaction like payment or fund transfer. So in that case, what would be the business critical transaction? I mean, test cases for me.
Okay, see, basically our priority should be on the business critical transaction. Okay, end of the day, whenever a client is doing a business, right, or if he's developing a software, right, some way or other there will be financial transaction involved. And for example, if you take any shopping page, okay, it may have some payment. Okay, so that should be the priority for selecting a test case. Okay, so if you say that there is no financial transaction involved, then you cannot say that you are not going to automate. So there are two conditions. One is the frequency, other one is a damage. So whenever I'm talking about damage, right, that is directly related to the financial transaction. Okay, so on these two factors you have to decide.
Okay, got it.
So there are some comments. One second. Okay, I cannot hear. So she cannot hear. Let's please rejoin. Okay, fine. And as you were telling, right, like test cases that need to be executed repeatedly and which are very tedious and difficult to perform and which are time consuming. I would like to give you one example on tedious and it is very difficult to perform. For example, you are making an LIC transaction, like many people are familiar with the LIC transaction. Okay, so generally what happens for the customer when it comes to LIC transaction, right? Generally he'll log in into the portal with his credential, he'll select a policy and makes a payment, right? That's what it happens. But internally on the back end, what it will happen, you know, like it should check whether the policy is active or not. Okay, when the policy will be active, when you are making your regular payments within the scheduled time, right, then only the policy will be active. So if there is a delay in the payment, right, there is a penalty or a fine associated whenever you are making a payment. So that calculation should take place. Okay, and there are multiple subsystems which will get impacted when you are doing a LSE payment. For example, there is a subsystem called as accounting, where it will store all your transactions. Okay, there is one more system called as billing, because the billing system will calculate how much payment you have to make, what is the tax, GST involved in it. So whenever you are having multiple system, right, so you have to check each and every system, and it is a very and you will be having also some other systems like LMS, which is called as letter management system. There is one more system called as DMS, which is called as document management system. That means sometimes earlier days they used to send a letter to you saying that this is the payment pending from you and this is the due date, you have to make it. Now everybody is doing online, and now this letter management system has been converted into email management system. Now we are not sending physical letters, we are only sending an email copy saying that so and so is the due date, and within this due date you have to make the payment. And also all these documents are also stored in the system itself. This is called as document management system. So whenever you perform an activity, whenever you're performing a transaction, there is a chance that it will impact multiple subsystems, so which is a very tedious and a difficult activity to perform. In that case we should go for automation. Okay, fine. So yeah, there are many tools which are available in the market, like you have Selenium as one tool which is very popular in the market. Earlier it was people were working on UFT, which is now it's a product of HP. Okay, earlier it was called as QTP, Quick Test Professional. Later they have renamed it into UFT, Unified Functional Testing. And Tosca is one tool which is also very popular nowadays in the market. And you have Silk Test, you have Watin and Rational Function Test. This is a product of IBM. There are many tools which are available in the market. Why should we go for Tosca? Okay, why should we go for Tosca means basically Tosca is a paid tool. It is not a open source like Selenium. It is a paid tool like similar to QTP or UFT. That whenever I say a paid tool, there is a cost associated with that particular tool. One advantage where you get with Tosca means it can automate any application which is available in the market, like whether it is a Salesforce application, whether it is a SAP application, whether it is a mainframe application, okay, whether it is an API application where we are working on some microservices, okay, or let's say it's a mobile application, right? Irrespective of the application type, right, everything can be automated with the help of Tosca. That is a one benefit you have when you are working in Tosca compared to other automation tools. Okay, and if you're comparing this with QTP or Selenium, right? This QTP, or it is also called as UFT, we can only automate web and Windows-based applications. Whereas coming to Selenium, right, we can only automate web-based applications. Here you have an edge. Here Tosca is having an edge when even compared to other automation tools which are available in the market. Other thing is the approach which they are going to follow is called as model-based approach. I'll come to this point. What do you mean by model-based approach, and what is a script-based, and what is mean by code-based approach? Basically, whenever I am talking about an automation testing, right, generally you should be familiar with one of the programming languages. When it comes to QTP, you have to be familiar with VB scripting. Okay, when it comes to Selenium, right, Selenium supports multiple languages. Some of the familiar languages are like Java. Second one is C#, Python, and also it supports JavaScript. Okay, you can choose in a programming language of your choice, but coding is required when it comes to UFT as well as Selenium. Whereas when it comes to Tosca, right, 99% coding is not required. Okay, only 1% of coding is required. And if you're see nowadays, everybody or every organization which is developing a software product, right, they are using microservices. So any idea what is a microservices architecture? Any idea what is a microservice from anybody? Okay, see, basically what do you mean by microservice architecture means you are breaking a bigger system. Let's say you are talking about a banking application. Okay, in that banking application you have 100 functionalities. Okay, so what Microservice architecture states, there are two types of architecture. One is monolithic, and other one is microservice based architecture. Monolithic means all 100 functionalities are placed in one product and you are going to sell it to the customer. The other microservices means you are going to split these 100 functionalities into 100 services. Okay, and each service is deployed on a 100 different systems. Okay, for one system, one service. Like this, you are going to deploy it so that you can easily scale it based on the demands. So this is nothing but Microsoft for you. This is nothing but a Microsoft architecture. Many things are there when it comes to Microsoft, but from the testing point of view, to understand easily, they are going to split a bigger application into smaller applications so that it is easily to deploy, easy to develop, and easy to test. Okay. And whenever I'm talking about microservices architecture, right, everything is in the form of API. Okay. And the Selenium has no support for API. Either you have to use REST assured API or some third-party libraries if you are working on API testing. But when it comes to Tosca, right, Tosca will support API testing. There is one more concept called as test data management. Okay, any idea what do you mean by test data management by anyone? Test data management
means how we managing our data which we are providing while execution test data.
Correct. How you are providing them. See, one of the main important thing when it comes to automation is data driven, right? Your script is based on your data, so you have to pass multiple sets of data, right? So generally, if you're working with Selenium, right, what you are going to do is you are going to use an Excel file. Okay, you are going to store the data in the Excel file, and you are going to read the data using one of the API called as POI API. Okay, there is an API available, and using that API, you are going to read the data. When it comes to Tosca, right, Tosca provides multiple ways for test data management. Okay, one such way is called as TCD. Okay, test case design, where you have a concept called as attributes and instances, which we'll be discussing detail in the topic when I'm discussing about the test case design. There is one more concept called as TDM. What you are going to do is you are going to store your data in a database. Okay, you are going to store the data in a database, and you are going to update that data and retrieve that data from the database. It can be a database or it can be an Excel file, but generally in companies, right, people go with the database. Okay, when should I go for this approach? For example, I'll tell you one scenario where storing an Excel file will not work. For example, you are creating a bank account. Okay, you are a customer and you want to open a bank account. So either you can visit the branch or you can open it online nowadays. Okay, so you enter all your details, and once you submit it, right, then an account number will be generated to you. Okay, if you follow the complete process and if you're eligible, right, an account number will be generated to you. And once account number is generated, they are going to offer some services to you. The services can be financial services or non-financial services. Some of the examples of non-financial services are like address change, email change, mobile number change. These are the non-financial services. Some of the financial services are like you can pay your utility bills. You can transfer amount. Okay, you can buy insurance. These are some of the financial transactions. Now, if you want to simulate this scenario, right, the account number will be generated only. The account number will be generated only after the account is successfully created. So you cannot store the account number in Excel file ahead, right? Okay. So that means the data will come from the application, and you have to use that data to perform other transactions. So in this case, Excel will not work. So what Tosca does is it uses as a concept called as test data management, TDM, where you can store the data which you have retrieved from the application and use it across multiple transactions. Okay, exploratory testing is one option. Any idea what is exploratory testing? Anybody have any idea about exploratory testing?
Where a tester use his, where there is no test cases or test scenario available, and tester testing the application based on his knowledge, and he'll get the knowledge while executing the application.
Correct. So basically, it's not about test cases where the person has no idea about the requirements. The requirements are not yet developed. Okay, they have an old system, and there is no document. See, there was a system which was developed 20 years ago. There was no documentation available for that particular system. Okay, and that system was on mainframes or AS400 application. Okay, now they want to migrate into the using new technologies, and they want to deploy it on the cloud like AWS or Azure. So in that case, what you are going to do, since there is no documentation available, you are going to explore the application by performing some transactions, by performing some navigations. You will be entering data randomly, and you will be clicking on the submit button. You'll be checking for the error messages. You will be checking for the whether data has been successfully inserted or not. This is called as exploratory testing. There's an option called exploratory testing in Tosca, which is not available in either UFT or Selenium. And since it is a vendor-based tool, you have a dedicated team. Whenever you are having some issues with the tool, let's say the tool is not able to identify a particular control on the application, or you are facing some issues while executing it, right? You can refer to the Tricentis support blog. 90% of the time, you will be getting an answer by looking at the support blog. Still, if you are facing issue, right, you can raise a ticket. Okay, you can raise a ticket in the support portal, and they will help you within 24 hours to fix that issue. That's the advantage of using Tosca. And any idea about CI integration, continuous integration tools? There are many continuous integration tools that are available in the market. Like you have Jenkins as one of the popular tool. Similarly, you have Hudson. Similarly, you have Bamboo. So Tosca supports integration with all the tools which are available in the market. So what do you mean by continuous integration? Means on high level, let's say you are developing one application. Okay. So you have people generally use some repository management or source code management tools like GitLab, GitHub, if you're familiar with these terms, okay, or TFS. So you are going to check in the code into the repository, and what this continuous integration tool will do, whenever there is a commit, or that is whenever you submit the code into the repository, it will build that particular code, okay, it will run the test, and it will give you the results. So that is nothing but continuous integration. So that is possible with Tosca, and it supports all the tools which are available in the market. And whenever you're working on complex projects where you have more than 1,000 test cases or 1,000 requirements, right? It is difficult to manage them manually or in Excel file. So they have to be either updated in Jira or in ALM, which is now also called as Quality Center. So Tosca provides an option whenever you execute a test case. If that particular test case passes, then that results are directly updated in the test management tools like QC or Jira. So these are the reasons why this tool is becoming popular. Any questions or any doubts on this slide? Yes, no.
No.
Okay. Let me see. Okay. Now, before we start about the tool, right? I want to show you the tool. So if once you type Tosca, once the tool is installed in your system, okay, you see these are the components. These are the components which are available. Once you type Tosca, right, you can see. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, this is only for 1 month, right? When
Yeah,
we
we are
install.
planning for. No. Basically, the support, the trial version is for 1 month, and you can extend it after 1 month with a different user.
I mean, yeah, every time we have to delete that and we have to install with the different
No.
users, right?
No, we need not delete the application. You have to change the user.
Usernames.
Yes, I'll come to that point. I'll come to the licensing part. See, there are, once you type Tosca, once Tosca is installed successfully in your system, right, you will be getting close to 5 components here. Tosca Commander is a main component. Okay, in this component, you are going to create your test cases. You are going to execute your test cases. You are going to design your test data. You are going to log defects. You are going to manage your requirements. Everything comes in the Tosca Commander. Okay. Similarly, you have one more option called as Tosca Executor. Executor is generally used to run your test cases. Like it's like once you create all your test cases, right? You create a suite which contains some set of test cases, and you have to execute that particular test cases. That is nothing but Tosca Executor. Okay. Then you have one more option called as Wizard. Wizard is where you have to identify the elements. So whenever you want to perform some operations on application, right, you have to, whenever you want to perform some operations, right, you have to identify that particular element, right? So that is the reason why we have a tool called as Tosca Wizard. Okay. Similarly, we have one more tool called as Tosca CI, which is for your continuous integration with other tools. Okay, fine. So this is the main component. We'll be looking at this component most of the time during our training program. So I'm launching it. Okay. Currently I'm using 14.0. You can download the latest one. which is 15.2, but the recommended version is 14.0. So wow, I'll try to launch it once again, and I'll tell you how this tool works. See, the moment you launch the tool, right, it will say that I'm checking for license. Starting, see the line, starting Tosca Commander. It's starting Tosca Commander, checking license. License found, it will start. Okay. So you have to install this tool. You have to install this tool, and you need to configure the license. How to configure the license means there is an option once you install the tool, right? Go to project. Okay. Go to project, and you have an option called as activate and manage. Okay. I'll tell you. So I have all the licenses related to Tosca. I have the Tosca trial, which is what we are using it, which contains all the required things. Similarly, there are other tools like Tosca BI, data integrity, all these things are there. Now, this is a cloud license. There are two types of license. One is called the cloud license. Other one is called the local machine license. What do you mean by cloud license? Means you can access this Tosca from any system, from anywhere in the world. When we go for cloud license means, let's say, since Tosca license is very expensive, if you have two people in your organization who are generally, one is working in the US and one is working in India, then what they generally do is they go for the cloud license. Why? Because they have only one license. Our morning time we'll be using it. In our night time, the people in the US will be using it. Like this, with one license, two users can work. Only thing is you should enter your license details and you need to log in. Whereas coming to machine license, it is tied to a particular machine. So once you install the machine license side, this Tosca will work in the installed machine only. You cannot shift once it is installed. So this is the difference between cloud license as well as local license. Okay, and this server, all the if you are having multiple things, right, the server will take care of all the licensing part. How do you activate? Means you have to click on connect. Okay, when the first time you are doing it, right, you have to use connect. So it will ask you whether you want to connect to the cloud license, or if you are hosting your own server, right, you can, there is something called as a Tosca server, where it will when you are working on a project where you have multiple people involved in the project, right, you have to create your shared repository. You need to create a distributed architecture. In that case, you will be using your own Tosca server. Okay, in the you have to use the second option. And if you are using Tosca in your system, which is tied up only in your system, where it works only in your system, right, then you have to go for the local machine. As of now, I'm connecting to the cloud license. I've already connected, and this is how I'm going to get it. Okay, so we'll help you out with the trial license, and it is available for more than a month. Once you change the username and credentials, right, you can use it. You need not again reinstall the tool. Is this clear? Yes. No. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
once you launch, okay, once you launch the tool, right, what you have to do is you have to create a new project. This is how I need to do. So I'm showing it once again. By default, your home tab will be visible. It tells you, it provides you some links like online tutorials, or some video tutorials are there, documentation, which is nothing but the knowledge base, and support if you are facing any issues, right, it will show it here. Okay, and it will also tell you what is the latest version which is available in the market, and what are the changes in the version. And it also telling you about the Tosca training. Tricentis also provides training, but it doesn't provide training to individuals. When a company is purchasing this tool, right, they provide training to their employees. Okay, and they also conduct some webinars, which is free of cost. Okay, you can attend the webinars to know about the latest updates on this tool, and you can even register here, whenever there's a new webinar, right, you will be getting a registration link where you can see the notifications from the company, and it will tell you all the available projects. This one will tell you the list of all the available projects which you are working on. First time you will not have this option. But how to create a new project means you have to click on new. Okay, if once you click on new, right, this is the physical where it is physically stored on your hard disk. Right now I am storing it on my C. I have a folder called as Tosca projects and Tosca workspaces, and I'm storing it. Okay, and whenever you are working in an organization, you will be selecting the repository as either SQLite, Oracle, SQL Server, or DB2. Okay, for training purpose, we'll be selecting none. What is the difference between these two means? There are two types of repositories. One is a shared repository and other one is a single repository. Single repository means since you are the only one who are working on your system, right? Then you need to select none, which creates a single user workspace. Okay. The other is a shared repository. That means, for example, in your organization, there are 4 people working on Tosca. In that case, you will be using one of the DB and all the results will be stored in DB. And you can integrate your test cases with the help of shared repository. Is it clear what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
we need to select, for time being, we'll be selecting none, which will create a single repository, so that you are not connected to other users. Okay, everything will be in your system only, and you cannot share the code with the other people. And you need to specify the workspace name. Okay, for example, I am giving an application like shopping cart. Okay, I'm giving the application name as shopping cart. Once you click on OK, right, this will create a project for us. Okay, it's saying that workspace has been created successfully, and this is what you'll be working on. And this is a heavy tool. Okay, it will take for some time while creating a project. And if you look at here, these are the sections. Okay, test case is one section, module is one section, requirement is one section, test case design is one section, execution issues. That means it provides the complete test management tool. It's a complete test management tool. Okay, we will discuss in detail about each section as part of the course. Okay, and look at here, there is an option called as check-in and check-out. Check-in all, check-out, and check-out tree. How many of people are aware of Git or GitLab or GitHub or Bitbucket? Any idea about these tools? Okay. So basically, when you are working in a shared environment where multiple testers or multiple developers will be working together, right, you have to check in your code into the shared repository. So for that purpose, that is like you have written some code. That code you are going to save it in one repository so that others can also access it. So the process of sending the code from your local system to the server is called as check-in. Okay, and the process of retrieving the code from the server to your local system is called as checkout. Okay, generally what operations you do check-in. That means you are going to push your code into the server, or you are going to retrieve the latest code from the server, which is called as checkout. Checkout tree will tell you what modules are checked out by which person. That is the difference of checkout. Okay, we'll see each and every option. I told you, like Tosca supports both manual as automation. We can also create a manual test case, and we can even record a test case using this record option, and we can also perform the exploratory testing. These are the different sections which we have as part of Tosca. Is this clear what I am talking? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So as I told you, why
Yes.
should we go for Tosca means it supports all the applications that are available in the market. Like we can automate your web-based application, we can automate your desktop application, and it supports close to 35 technologies like SAP, Salesforce, okay, ServiceNow. There are many different technologies. It supports all the technologies which are available in the market. It is also a test management tool. Why I'm calling it as a test management tool means, so you can create your requirements. Okay, you can create your requirements in the requirement section. Okay, you can log defects in the issue section. Okay, and you can also do sprint planning in the planning section. If you are aware of the agile concept, you can create your test cases in the test case section. This is the section where you create your test cases, and you can create defects in the issue section. Okay, and you can execute your test cases in the execution section. So that is the reason why it is called as a complete test management tool. Okay, all the management.
Can I integrate the quality center with this? Suppose if I have raised a defect in quality center,
Yes.
And from there, can I integrate it with Tosca?
Yes. So this is what is a feature which I was talking about, QC and Jira integration. Once you raise a defect in Tosca, it can be integrated with QC or Jira. There is an option called as sync. Once you click on sync, right, it will automatically create that issue in QC or Jira. Okay, but you need to provide some configuration like what is your Jira server, what are your credential, to which project it has to create. All these configurations you have to provide. Okay, and if you are creating a requirement or a user story in Jira or QC, that can be also pulled into the Tosca automatically. You need not again create it manually in Tosca. That option is also available. Is it clear?
Yeah. So you'll be teaching the API also, API testing, API integration, and the database integration also.
API and API testing is I'll be covering. API testing integration in the sense, I didn't get that point.
I mean, how do you like integrate API applications with Tosca?
Okay. See, basically, integration is not the correct word you are using it. I was talking about microservices, right? You are going to split a complex application to smaller parts, and you are going to release it as a service. So as part of API testing, right, we'll be taking one of the service, and we'll be, for example, I'll give you one small example. Let's say you are making an LIC policy payment. Okay. Once you make an LIC payment, what details you are going to enter? You are going to enter your policy number. You are going to enter your name, and you are going to enter the amount. Okay, GST, and mode of payment, whether it is half yearly or annually. These details, once you enter, you get a success message, right? That is called as you have an API, and if you are testing that API, then it is called as API testing. API integration means this API has to be integrated with other tools in the sense other subsystems. Like whenever you make a payment, a notification should be sent to billing system and accounting system. So that
Yes, that comes with the calendar, months. At that time, it is like all these things like coding section, like little bit of coding also you'll be teaching it, right?
Coding is minimal in Tosca, but wherever we require coding, that will be considered as part of the course.
Okay.
Okay, fine. And other things what I want, why should we go is like advantages. Let me tell you. So one is it supports all the applications that are available in the market. It acts as a test management tool, and all the management activities can be handled in Tosca. Other advantage is test cases are readable. You need not learn any other programming language. You need not learn any other programming language in order to work on Tosca. Okay. The one more thing is you can execute your manual test cases as well as automation test cases together in Tosca. Okay, you can get a manual. Hear me, right? Is my voice clear? Do you have any? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. No.
Yes. Yes.
You can
Yes.
hear. Fine. So I was talking about this slide, and I got disconnected. So basically, one of the most frequent question which they ask in the interview is, like why should we go for Tosca? Like what are the benefits of Tosca? The first thing is it's a model-based test automation tool. We'll discuss each and every point in detail later, but I'll tell you on a high level what you mean by model-based tool. Like you have a real-time scenario. For example, fund transfer is a scenario, right? You will be focusing on designing test cases for that particular scenario, which is taken as a model. Okay, when I'm explaining you practically, right, we'll get more clarity. It's not like a framework, like they design a framework where they have a configuration file to read data from the for the to read the application URL. They are going to maintain separate share folder for Excel, reading data from Excel. Like this, you don't have this concept here. Everything is a model-based architecture, which we are going to see in detail later. Other thing is risk-based testing. So this is very important right now in the industry. You are always having issues with the deployments, and the build is most of the time it is delayed to the testing team. So you need to prioritize your test cases. So which test case should be executed first, and which test case can be executed later, or where there is more complexity in executing. That is possible with a concept called as risk-based testing. Similarly, you have test data management, where you can manage your defects, where you can manage your test cases, where you can execute your test cases. You can perform both manual as well as automation testing. You can also execute at the same point of time, like manual also can be placed in the same code repository. Okay, you can perform API testing. You can perform backend testing like BI, big data, as well as business intelligence reports can be tested. You can integrate with CI/CD tools. You can have test data management is a separate service which is available in Tosca. You can perform your load testing. You can perform the impact analysis. Let's say you are doing load testing and there's one page which is taking more time to execute. So then you have to do which particular code block is having that particular change and where it is going to impact in the application. So that impact analysis can be also done. And you have a concept called as service virtualization. This generally happens in microservices. You want to test a service, but that service is not completely developed. You can mock that service, like means you can create a dummy service and test it. Okay, you can perform exploratory testing, and yeah, these are the things why we should go for Tosca. Okay, and there are different ways of writing scripts. Earlier we used to record and play back the scripts. Then we are started focusing on test automation frameworks like data driven, keyword driven, and hybrid. Now we are using a concept called as model based architecture, which we are going to discuss in detail later. So this course is going to take around 30 hours of time, and we are going to see a sample project, and we are going to cover all the concepts related to Tosca. And what concepts will be covered? I've already shared the course content. If you don't have this copy, you can collect it from the institute. Okay, so this is how we'll be starting. We'll be learning what do you mean by automation testing, what are the various test automation tools available in the market, what are the advantages and disadvantages.
I'm sorry for the interruption. You check with the reports too?
Business intelligence reports.
Yes, report generation.
Yes, a report generation is also part of. Finally, you have to send a report to the client, right? We'll show you how to generate a report and send it to the client.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, let me complete, then we can discuss. So coming to the tool, right, we'll see what are the components of Tosca, and we'll see what are the advantages and disadvantages. Then we'll see how to install Tosca, and what do you mean by standard import module. This we have to do it in order to access the T box. I'll tell you what is T box and what is the Tosca architecture. And we'll be covering each and every section. Like we have a section called as module, we have a section called as test cases, we have a section called test case design, execution, issues, configuration, right? We'll be covering all these sections. Okay, what do you mean by model? How do you create modules? What do you mean by test cases? What do you mean by a library or reusable tester block? What do you mean by business parameters? What do you mean by exception handling? This will be covered in the test case section. And most of the time, the complex component is a web table. How do you test a web table will be covered. and sometimes you need to pass some dynamic data like dynamic date and time, and for username and for telephone number, right? You have to randomly generate some text number, right? How to make use of the random functions available, and you also need to calculate some math operations like you are buying a product, you want to calculate the product after discount is coming properly or not. And there is something called a synchronization, which is like your application should be in sync with Tosca. We'll be covering these if statement, while and do while. And I told you, right, we have this TDM. How do you manage your test cases? We have a concept called as attributes and instances, and how do you create a template, and how do you read this will be covered. And external connectivity, how do you connect with CI/CD tools? Okay, how do you connect with QC or Jira will be covered in external connectivity. And there are different engines for each type of functionality. How do you work with an Excel? How do you work with a PDF? How do you capture screenshot? Okay, these things will be covered in engines. And common file operations, like how do you copy a file, delete a file, and how do you perform exploratory testing, and how do you perform non-GUI based testing like API and XML, and how do you interact with the DB, and how do you generate reports. Okay, and we'll be also covering the API part. Finally, what are the best practices are used while working with Tosca will be covered. This is about the high level introduction to the course. Now, any questions from your end, let me know. I'm ready to answer.
Yeah, hi Shekhar. I have few questions regarding the course. I mean,
Yeah, tell me.
how is the job market for Tosca right now for experienced candidate?
See, yeah, now see nowadays, testing importance has increased like anything, and the scope of manual testing is almost zero. You need to know at least one tool, okay, if you want to survive in the testing domain, okay. And there are many tools which are available in the market. The major are Selenium, and the other one is Tosca. Okay, Selenium is a very good tool when it comes to web-based application, but it's a time-taking process. Time-taking process for the company also. Why? Because it is difficult to do in sprint automation. Like you cannot do in sprint automation if you're working on tools like Selenium. It is always n-1. That means in the second sprint you'll be working on the first sprint user stories. Okay, why? Because you have to develop the framework. You need to write the coding. When it comes to Tosca, right? It supports in sprint automation. Why? Because it is very easy to create a test case in Tosca when you're comparing with Selenium. Okay, and what is a market for Tosca? I mean, the market is growing. It is good. Only big companies are hiring Tosca because it's a paid tool. Small companies cannot afford this tool. Big companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, HCL, Capgemini, these companies are hiring Tosca for this client. And most of the clients of Tosca are either banking clients, or insurance-based clients, or healthcare-based clients.
Most,
So hope
yes,
this answers your
healthcare.
question. Sorry.
I mean,
Sorry, can
yes,
you?
healthcare has a lot of importance of Tosca actually.
Yes, yes.
And
Yeah. Any
like
other questions from anybody?
yeah, like I'm having 8 years of experience in manual testing only. So how much years of experience I can show in Tosca itself if I go for a job?
Okay, you can show up to 3 years of experience.
And will you be
Okay, you can
helping
show
us
up to 3 years of experience.
and and will you be helping us in, I mean, resume preparation and interview preparation and all this thing?
Yes, yes, I'll be reviewing your resume, and also I'll be sharing few resume templates, and also I'll be sharing the interview questions. Okay.
And
So
you will be
see,
taking any mock
when 1 second,
yeah.
1 second, let me complete. When you are going for interview, right, there are some certifications as part of this interview. Okay, there is something called as AS1 and AS2, which is called as a beginner level. Okay, you have to do this certification. Okay, you have to register with this site. Few are paid and few are free. You have to do certification. So if you look at here, right, there are different roles which you will be targeting. Whether you may go for test analyst. If you are experienced, you can go for test manager, or you can even go for an architect, okay, or a specialist, okay, or an extension developer. There are many certifications available. I would suggest this path is the more advanced path, like the architect. You target for this path, okay, test architect, where you have a lot of importance in the organization, and the salaries are also very good when when you're targeting for a test architect role. Okay, so you have to start with a core certification initially, AS1, which is called as Automation Specialist 1, and AS2. Then you have to complete TDS1, TDS2, and AE1. Okay, and finally there is one more certification called as test architect. Once you complete all the certification, right, it adds a lot of weightage to your resume. Yeah, I'll be helping you with the resume preparation, interview sessions, and mock interview. If you want, I can take it on a one-to-one basis and assess you where you stand on the concepts.
Okay, great.
So any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, we can even automate mobile devices as well, right, with Tosca?
Yes, Tosca supports mobile automation also. Yes.
Yeah, do you cover those concepts as well?
Yes, mobile testing will be covered, but as a sample only we'll be covering, not as a complete detailed concept. We will be taking one emulator and we'll be showing how to do mobile testing. The more focus would be on the web part, because web is the most popular when compared to other applications.
Okay, okay, thank you.
So any other questions from anyone? If no questions, we can close the session.
No, thank you so much. The session is very impressive.
Thanks for your time, and I hope we'll have more sessions like this. Yeah, tell me, Prakash.
Yeah, so what would be the fees for this course? I mean, I didn't get the fees yet.
You can check with the institute. I'm not exactly sure how much they are charging. Just check with them. I'll also connect with them and I'll let you know how much they are charging for this course. Okay. And we are targeting for 30 hours and targeting from Monday to Friday.
Can you
Okay.
Most probably it will be 7 o'clock, right? Morning?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Morning 7 o'clock, right? Not this time, right?
What did they commit? What time did they
I'm
commit?
not sure. I'm
7
not
o'clock did
sure.
they
I'm
commit?
not sure.
I think it is
I'm
8
not
to
sure.
9, I think, not 7. It's 8 to 9. So anybody having issues with 8 to 9 timings?
I do have.
Okay, you do have. Okay, fine. So we are planning 2 batches. One is the weekday batch and one is a weekend batch. Let's see how we can accommodate. Since it is online, right? If maybe we can start at 7:30 max, not before 7:30 to 8:30 also we can have a batch. If everybody
Yeah,
agrees with
that's fine. 7:30 to 8:30 is fine.
Yeah, 7:30 is fine for me as well. Even 8 is fine, but 7:30 is also fine.
7:30 is. Yeah, we can even have 7:30 to 8:30 session also. Any other question?
No, thank you. From my side.
Okay, fine. Good luck. This tool is very promising, and now the competition is very less. So if you want to learn, you have to spend it. Not only spending money, you have to spend your time also. And I am here to help you in getting a job in a good organization. Okay.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
sure.
much.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.